Support is so easy, dude! Yes, you can carry from support. Season 10, or Season 2020, whatever they're calling it, is upon us, and millions of players are hitting the rift thinking that this is their year to get the rank that they've always wanted. They could be one-tricking their way there, they could be playing meta champions, or they could be theory crafting and taking a shot at Zed Jungle. Yeah, if you get that person, dodge the game immediately. With all of the new changes with the elemental dragon buffs and these weird little Aclove things.
No.
There's a lot to be excited about when it comes to League in 2020. But the one thing that isn't new, and the notion that I still hear a lot from people, is that you can't carry a game of ranked from support. Now before I refute this utterly stupid idea, I want to reframe the way we think about carrying. I found that most lower elo players think that the only way to get out of their tier is to carry each and every game with a 1v9 mentality. And let me be the first to say it, this is really stupid. League of Legends is a team game, and the team that plays the best together will win. You don't need to pick champions like Master Yi or Katarina and fly into the enemy team trying to wipe them out. Thinking that you need a 1v9 is actually a toxic mindset and will have you make very stupid mistakes that will hold you back from climbing. In the simplest of terms, the best way to climb is to pick a champion and roll and learn those the best that you can and then play each game to the best of your ability and focusing on it the entire time. If you're unsure what champion or what role to play, then today is your lucky day because Papa Snowda is here and we're going to teach you how to climb at support using Blitzcrank. At the end of the video, I will show you his runes and an example build, but before we get there, it's time to talk about Blitzcrank's weaknesses and the stuff I don't like. Blitzcrank is one of the most iconic champions in all of League of Legends, and this single ability has won and thrown thousands of games alone. Blitzcrank can be pretty annoying to play against in the laning phase, but his real weakness comes when everybody starts to group as 5. It's much harder to make good picks with your hook when everybody's grouped together, and if you can't do that, he's pretty darn useless. He kind of mindlessly runs around teamfights, knocking people up and pulling them a very short distance. He is not a support that you pick to help boost your AD carry's damage and output, or just try to protect them in general. Usually you have to make picks with Blitzcrank if you want him to be useful. Because of this, it is super important to get ahead as Blitz and create a sizable lead for your teammates so that when you fall off in the late game, your team can carry you to victory. Yes, as support, your goal is to help your team so that they can carry you. I'm sure this is very contrary to what you've heard before, but this is our strategy as support, and if you don't like it, then have fun not climbing. The second thing I don't like about Blitzcrank and about support in general is that you are very reliant on your ADC and your team for damage and follow-up. The reality of this role is that we do have to rely on our teammates to a certain extent. If I find a pick with Blitzcrank using this Q, then I need someone to dish out damage and get the kill, and if not, I'll end up just dying myself. This is something that I personally had to get used to because I am so used to playing high damage mid laners and fighting picks by myself. And that brings us to the quick third thing that I don't like. I don't like how people and how other Blitzcrank players on my team will just pull randomly and expect that the entire team should have known that that's what they were going to do and follow up. What they need to do and what we need to do as Blitzcrank players in the future to make sure this doesn't happen is that we need to ping for our teammates to come help us. And if they're not going to help us, then we shouldn't press Q. We shouldn't bring them close to us because guess what? We're probably going to die. All right, that wasn't too bad. Time for the good stuff. Time for the stuff that I like. One of the great things about playing Blitz or any other aggressive support is that people really don't know how to play this role until around High Diamond. That might discourage you, but hear me out. If that's the case and you take the time to really learn how to excel at this role and get a lot of kills and map pressure every game, then you'll be on your way to whatever rank you really want to get to. Most supports just mindlessly walk around with their ADC and peel people that try and kill them. And that's it. That's the extent of their game. That's the extent of thought that they put into all the moves they make, the wards they put down. They kind of just walk around with their AD carry and just make sure that they don't die. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad way to play, but you're not being proactive. You're not doing what it takes to win games. These supports usually ward in random spots that they might have seen in the LCS or on a pro stream. Most people play with the idea that the support cannot impact the game, therefore they kind of tune out in autopilot, when in reality, they have an enormous impact on the game. And if they focus in lane, they focus when they roam, and they ward with the purpose, they can do really well and actually carry a lot more games than they think they can. The bar is really low for what a good support is, so keep learning and you can get high elo. The second thing that I really like is that Blitzcrank, along with other champions like Leona and Nautilus, are extremely good at early game all-ins, and this makes them lethal at the lower levels. I highly recommend that you go to the channel Skill Capped and watch their videos on support. They're super helpful. They show where you should be at certain times, where to ward, when to roam. They do a very good job at giving tangible steps and ways to improve, and this can dramatically improve your game. If you're anywhere below Diamond and you're trying to climb, I highly recommend that you go check out their videos. When you learn how to minimize damage and get 2v2 pressure, you'll be able to either win your lane outright or pressure your opponent so much that they sit under their tower and spam ping their jungler for help. Another thing I love about Blitzcrank compared to other passive supports, maybe like Soraka and Nami, is that he is very good at setting up ganks for his jungler. A quick tip I have for Blitz whenever you are going for an all-in is to not hook right away. Your opponent will know that it's coming, so instead just run at them, and while they're juking left and right trying to dodge your Q that hasn't been shot yet, you and your team can gain on them, and then you can flash E, or then you can pull them in if they're CC'd or slow. His Q is his most important ability, and everyone knows it's coming, so just use that to your advantage and play mind games by holding on to it. But besides his Q, one thing I really like about Blitzcrank's kit is that his E does have a knockup. So you can flash E and then pull when they flash, or do some other kind of combination that really sets up a gank for your jungler. One of my favorite things to do in the laning phase is to roam mid from base with mobility boots. If you and your team do a decent job of keeping the bottom river warded with control wards, it makes this a lot easier. When you get to mid lane, you can flash onto the opposing mid laner with E, knocking them up and allowing your mid laner to dump all of their damage onto them. This is when you can use your key to bring them back closer and then continue your damage. They will either flash away, or if they don't have flash, they'll just run away and then you can drag them back in to secure the kill. It's really tilting if you're the enemy mid laner, so continue to do this and create pressure along the bottom area of the map. As a support, you have to make plays like this because like we talked about earlier, you have very little impact in the late game when it comes to damage. So you need to do what you can while you are strong to feed your carry so that they can carry you at the end of the game. For those of you that really care, here are the current runes for Blitzcrank. These will change as the game evolves, but for right now, these are what people are using. Also, this is the build that I've been using recently. You don't have to follow it to a T, but the one thing that you do need to pay attention to is the fact that the first thing that I buy are mobility boots. You want to rush mobility boots so you can get around the map to ward, roam, and protect your ADC. So just buy mobility boots because after that, it's pretty hard to mess it up. I hope you're having a good time in solo queue so far. Continue to climb, continue to learn. Guys, pick up Blitzcrank, learn other supports. You can carry from support. You just have to learn how to make a good impact in the early game and then protect your AD carry in the late game. This has been Snowda. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.